Well, hello there in YouTube land and welcome back to the channel. And today we are at Mancuso BMW and we are about to test ride this big, beautiful bike. It is the K1600B Grand America. Now for some... Now, for some reason, the option 719 has this paint scheme which I find hideous, but the bike itself is beautiful. Another thing that I found weird about this bike is if you look at it from the back, it's beautiful. If you look at it from the front, it's even more beautiful. But for some reason, like the back and the front, they don't match. It's weird. And then it has this weird handlebars that I hate. Maybe you can change them to the ones on the GT model, because that bike was awesome. Alright, so let's get on it and see what the difference is in this bike and the GT. So this is the midnight version. So that's what it is. I don't know.
So before we continue with the review, let's talk about some specs. Now this bike has an inline-six engine with 1,649 cc's. It produces 160 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque. Its maximum speed is regulated to 101 miles per hour. That is a bummer. And the final drive, it is a shaft-driven machine, which is, well, good for maintenance. Now the chassis is an aluminum frame and subframe. The front suspension is a non-adjustable BMW Motorrad with 4.5 inches of travel. Rear suspension, it's a semi-active BMW Motorrad with 4.9 inches of travel. The wheels are cast aluminum and both wheels are 17 inches. The front brakes have a 320 millimeter floating disc on both sides with 4-piston fixed calipers. The rear brake is a 320 millimeter disc with dual piston floating caliper. It does have cornering aware ABS. And the dimensions of the bike, it's a big, heavy, large bike. The wheelbase is 63.7 inches and the seat height 29.5 inches. The curb weight comes in at 816 pounds. It does not specify by BMW if it's wet or dry. It has a big tank of 7 gallons with an estimated fuel consumption of 40 miles to the gallon, which is not that bad for a 6-cylinder big machine. Now, this is where the trouble comes to the paradise. The Grand America MSRP for the base model is $28,130.
700 billion and $1,300 billion.
As tested with the 719 option, midnight, whatever paint and the seat and everything, $31,620. Now back to the review.
So things that you notice right away is that the bike is very heavy, but just like the GT, even though this bike has a top box, you don't feel like it's going to drop right away because they're very well built, very well put together and designed, so the bike doesn't feel like it's going to drop like my Harley does. Maybe it's because there's nothing on the fork. The whole fairing and everything on the big bike is mounted on the frame. Oh, this is so smooth. Oh, it sounds lovely. I don't remember the GT sounding like that. This one sounds a little bit more. This is very, very quiet. Now the differences between this one and the GT obviously going to be the bags and the trunk. But there are other differences, like we discussed. The handlebar thing here. It's different. And also the foot pegs. These are more comfy foot pegs. But yeah, just like the GT, this bike, it is heavy, but it doesn't feel like you don't feel like you're gonna drop it. I mean, it just fills you with confidence because of the way it is built. I love it. Now it is hot today, really hot. So let's see. Oh yeah, just like the GT, it has very soft suspension. And very smooth delivery. And I don't know, it just feels good to be on this bike. I don't think I feel any different so far with these foot pegs and the brake calipers and everything. Not the calipers, but the pedals. Wow, now I get it. It is in rain mode, so that's why it was smoother. Let's change it to regular dynamic mode, because I think that's all it has. Rain, road, and dynamic. So now we're on dynamic. Oh, there it is. Woke up. It woke up. So it's ready to go. So yeah. Now another thing that this one has, being a Grand America model, these floorboards, they're like highway floorboards where you can put your feet there. That's pretty awesome, pretty comfortable, and I don't know, I really enjoyed these bikes so far. It'll be awesome to take them on an actual trip to see how they feel. And maybe it's just me. Come on, dude, what the fuck? Yeah, we're not gonna stop and wait for this dude, because it's gonna let us out of the fun. And just like the GT, this bike is a lot sportier than you would think, for it being a very, very big bike. You feel like you're riding a sport tourer and not a grand tourer. So yeah, BMW, they really knocked it out of the park with these models, but they have been perfecting it. I mean, the K1600 has been around for a while, and this is just another version of this bike. They try to make it like an American dresser, bagger style, so that's why it's called the B model, and that's why it has those different type of bags that look, but they look more like a Goldwing than an actual American dresser. So that's why they came up with the R18, which is a lovely bike, but it rides terrible. This one rides smooth and lovely and very comfortable, and as opposed to the other windscreen on the GT, this one is not on my field of vision, but I am getting a little bit of buffeting, not that bad, not as much as I get on my Street Glide. So let's see if we move the windscreen up. Well, now I'm looking through the windscreen, which is something I really don't want to be doing. And I am still getting the buffeting, not that bad, because I don't think it's coming then from the top. So let's put it down again, and it's a little bit sportier, I think. Ooh. Quick shifter is so smooth on this bike as opposed to the other models that I've been riding in BMW's lineup that I accidentally went from 3rd to 5th when I wanted to go to 4th. But yeah, the quick shifter is very smooth on this one. I don't remember if the GT was as smooth as this, because that was yesterday, but this is the loveliest thing you can have shifting a bike. Now the wind today is blowing a little bit, and I did feel a couple of times that the bike is moving from side to side, and it does feel not as stable as I remembered the GT being. Maybe it's the top hat, maybe it's just the wind, but I do feel, but it's not something that will be, I don't know, that should keep you from considering buying this bike. It was just a little bit of wind, and it's going to happen on any motorcycle. And for some reason, I do think maybe it's this ugly handlebars that maybe they're closer to you, but this bike does feel a lot more comfortable than the GT model. So if you want to ride in comfort for miles and miles, this is the bike you want. Believe you me, you won't regret it. Now the only problem with these big BMW Tourers, they're pretty awesome. I think they're the only touring bikes that I would consider instead of the Harleys. The problem is the price. So if you're gonna spend that much money, well, you're gonna be competing not with the regular Harley street glides or road glides. You're gonna be competing almost with the CVOs, because these do feel better than the Harley Specials, but not as premium as the CVOs, I don't think. Now we discussed yesterday, or well, whenever that video is coming up, and the GT model, that the engine is not as fast as I was expecting. Maybe the bikes are limited for the demos, so that's something we have to we're gonna have to do some research on to see if that's the case, because maybe they are faster than what you can get here, because they want you to. They're asking you the dash here thing. When you rev it, they ask you to shift in around 6,500. Now this bike revs all the way to 9,000. That's the red line. So I'm guessing it does have much more power than what we can do here on these little demo days. But it has been a great demo day because, well, most of these bikes have been really good, if not great. Oh, it does drop on a dime. I don't know, the GT version feels a lot nimbler for some reason than this one. Yeah, and if I were to buy one of these bikes, I would definitely go with a GT, just because I don't know if the suspension is different or what is it. It does feel a little bit more nimble. Maybe it's just the top box in the back. We'll have to do some type of research, but for now, I do like this bike, but I like the GT better than this one. And the only thing on the GT was the windscreen, but now you can see it's well, it's an electronic windscreen that you can adjust, so that's not a problem. And you can also buy a box. I'm hoping you can get a removable box like I have on my Harley, so you can take the old lady with you when you want and remove it when you don't. When you don't, you're not going to take your old lady with you. I would love to also listen to the stereo, so hopefully when we get there, we have an opportunity to do that. But yeah, the suspension on this bike is so comfortable, and then the riding position, you feel like you're just laid back. And for some reason, Harleys are like up here. I think this is more, I get more tired that way, and I don't have a lot of control over the bike when I'm doing that. So I guess this is the option, to have your feet well underneath you, so you can have control of the bike with your legs, and you can also stand up on the bike. If you feel a bump coming, you can stand up and do this, which is something you cannot really do on the Harley. I mean, you can sort of, but it's very uncomfortable, very and dangerous, I think. And on this one, well, you can. Lovely, lovely bikes. So yeah, BMW, they do a good touring bike. No surprise there. Okay. Well, that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, if you like the video, to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell button, and share it with all your friends. If you don't like the videos, well, share it with all your enemies. And I'll see you guys on the next one.